Welcome to Legal Tender.
Good morning, welcome to Legal Tender, and if you've ever wanted to start a small business or you're a small business owner, pay attention because we have a local expert in the house today
and
who's going to help us out.
And it's not you.
Oh, no. Have we ever considered me an expert about anything? No.
So who's our expert today?
Well, why don't you do the introduction because that's your specialty.
Well, okay. So the thing about Bob, so people know the name Bob. But what they don't know about Bob,
he's an expert, evidently.
He is an expert.
Yes.
You know, actually, Bob, you know how you become an expert?
You get the best at it? I don't know what.
No, that's false.
You just tell everybody you're good at it.
What you do is you have a lawyer qualify you as an expert.
Oh, baby.
And then therefore, even if you're doing whatever you've been doing, whatever it is, you can be qualified as an expert. So I'm going to qualify you as a pizza expert.
Amen.
So Bob, of course, owns Local Myth Pizza in Chelan. And we've all heard you talk ad nauseum and roll my eyes around here. But now you're going to be an expert. Are you ready?
I'm ready for it, baby.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So will you please state your name and spell it for the record?
It's Bob Doggett. B-O-B-D-O-G-E-T-T.
I let the record reflect that the opposing
I would just
party
like to
here.
object to this whole start of this conversation. I would like it stricken from the record.
Right. So, do you own a business in Chelan?
I do.
And what is the name of that business?
It's Local Myth Pizza.
Any questions from the peanut gallery? And so, as the owner of Local Myth Pizza, do you have any types of specialties?
We specialize. Do I personally, or does my business?
I'm the one who asked the questions.
Oh, sorry about that.
Is it yes
we
or
do.
no?
Yes, we specialize in making premium pizzas.
Okay, Your Honor, I would move to have Bob admitted as an expert. For the record. How do you rule?
Motion denied.
What?
Motion denied.
Foundation. Okay, all right. No, so
You can appeal.
Right. So that's actually, believe it or not, that's how, the short version of how you qualify somebody as, quote, an expert.
Right.
Wait a minute. The judge gets to decide in a case if someone's an expert or whether they're not.
Yes.
You're kidding me.
No.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, the judge is the judge.
This is ridiculous.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Right. So we wanted to talk to you about your business as a non-business guy. So let's talk. But before you came to Chelan, what were you doing?
I was working in the high-tech space, global outsourced, third-party logistics.
Where did you grow up? Were you on the coast?
On the coast.
Okay.
The coast being the east or west coast?
Good question. The greater Seattle area.
Okay. All right. So you worked at this horrible, hateful company, I assume, right? Oh, you mean? Oh no, they're great because they're going to listen to you. Oh, they're fantastic.
No, that's all right. I don't mind offending anybody.
So what's the answer?
Well,
then,
it was
big boy?
actually a global firm, so based
Okay.
out of Boston, Massachusetts,
Okay.
and I worked remote
Okay.
and traveled the world a lot, and had offices all over the place.
And so you decided. At what point did you just say, "Hey, I want to venture out on my own. I want to go out and move to the big powerhouse of Chelan"?
Well, I moved to Chelan because I could live anywhere in the world I wanted to live in my previous career, and so.
Well, hold on. What was that career? What was that?
As an executive in the third-party logistics space.
Executive.
Executive.
Yeah. Did you get a bracelet with that one?
Did you get one of those credit cards?
I don't
that are
I don't
black?
have nearly as many pictures on the wall as you do, my friend, stating my experiences. So
Do you have any dead animals on your wall?
no dead animals,
dead animals,
actually. No. Lots of airline miles is what I got. That's what I got.
So for those of you who can't see, you actually, if you want to watch the show, you should go to LT Media, right? So Legal Tender, media.tv, and you can look and see what we're talking about. Well, so we bought Cody and I bought a zebra carpet for the inside of our office space here for where we shoot our shows. And I was sitting here talking to my secretary, Nicole, and I was like, Nicole, if you were to walk in here and you were to see a zebra carpet, what does it tell you about the guy? And she's sitting there thinking, and I'm like, well, I'll tell you what I think. Part of me says, is the guy gay? Well, no, because, I mean, I can look and I can see there's pictures of him. He's married clearly here. I'm like, okay, well, what is wrong with him? Why would he? Well, he's got deer head on the wall, so all right, I guess I kind of trust him. And then he's got Nike shoes, and that's when we realized, okay, it's kind of the weird enough thing that wouldn't really, turn you out the door at least. Am I right?
Do you really want me to answer that? Because we only have 30 minutes.
Yes, I do.
This is, the office stuff that you put together in here is awesome. I mean, we're sitting at a table with helicopter blades
Right.
that are the foundation of the table. You have an aircraft wing as a desk. It is awesome.
Come check it out, Brewster. What of it?
It is pretty
So
cool.
that's the same thing. So when you're so you're coming here and you want to live wherever you want to live, but what made you decide I'm going to do pizza?
Well, I've been wanting to go out and do a business of my own for bulk of my life, and I've been a passionate foodie. I was a competitive cook. I've competed in barbecue and chili cook-offs.
Isn't there like there's a national barbecue deal, right? You do the whole NASCAR
there's
uniform.
cook-offs everywhere,
yeah, there you can do that if you want.
If you want.
If you want to.
Is that beneath you, big boy? Whoa! Sorry, he's the expert.
Hey, listen, order in the court. If you want to get up and do the team shirts and get all crazy about that, it's like anything. You can get as passionate about it as you want. That's awesome. That wasn't our gig. Let's just say that.
All right. But have you done those before?
I have. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's why you're the expert.
I might have, I may recruit you to come join my team sometime.
Can I wear the NASCAR uniform?
We'll get you.
I'll wear a zebra stripe NASCAR uniform that says Bob.
I'm going to get you. We might have to. I'm going to take pictures of your office, and we're going to have them put together the perfect shirt for you.
There you go.
I love it.
There you go.
So tell us how did you decide, number one, how did you decide that Schland's a place for us, and also how did you decide what business you wanted to start? Did you start local McKees, or did you buy from somebody else?
Good question. So I found a business that I think the person who founded it laid a great foundation for the business, was looking to retire within the next couple of years, and I saw it as a business model where I could take that great foundation and apply some great business sense to it and help kind of take it to the next level and keep it growing.
Because that's an interesting question about if you want to own a business,
right.
Do you actually start your own, or do you go and buy an established business? Because the problems that you face in each scenario
are different.
They're
Right.
very, very different.
So those of you who are listening, you're thinking about, oh man, should I start a business? I'm sick of working for the man. You could become the man and realize that you hate yourself.
Yeah, it's not easy being the man.
It's not easy being the man.
It is not.
Right.
Do you hate yourself?
Every morning.
Every day.
But that's a great point. I mean, I bought an existing building where a lawyer had been, right? So, and Cody, how did you start your business?
So I worked in Bellevue for a financial firm in Bellevue for 6-7 years, and then decided to move back here. I didn't actually start from ground zero, though, when I started my business. I mean, all the infrastructure stuff I had to put together on my own, but I actually brought a certain set of clients with me to begin the business. So in a sense, I wasn't starting from ground zero. There was already a little bit that I'd already built on for years, and I was essentially doing the exact same thing I was over there, just doing it on my own.
So if you're thinking about starting a business, number one, you could buy an existing enterprise, buy an existing business, revamp it, put some new lipstick on that pig, and it becomes a racehorse. We're going down to the barbecue nationals.
Exactly.
Number two, like Cody did, you have an existing client base. So suppose you're the guy who's turning wrenches at Les Schwab, and you want to decide, hey, I could do this on my own. I can have my own, traveling. You go to different farmers. You got existing client base. You could use that sort of stuff. I'm getting hate calls from Les Schwab saying, like, hey, don't be giving our employees ideas. I repent for giving anyone an idea ever.
Don't do that.
Because you're never short on ideas.
Never.
Ever.
Well, and they're all going to require initial capital to start. Even if you start on your own, complete from scratch, you're going to have capital to until you build any kind of revenue base whatsoever. Whereas if you buy an existing business, of course, there's a revenue base. You already have some customers there. Or in Cody's situation, he brought on some customers, so he knew he had something at least to kind of maybe pay the power bill, right?
What would you say to somebody if they've been thinking about starting venturing on their own, and they're saying, gosh, I don't know where to start. What would you say? Where do you start?
I would start with identifying what you're passionate about and
Man,
identifying
right on the money.
And identifying what
Why? Because you agree with me.
Well, did you say that? I thought that was my line. But I think really, here's the thing. I think you have to identify what you truly are good at. Just because you make really good, all your friends tell you, geez, man, you're really great at making pizza. Or you make the best steak in the world. You should open a steak restaurant. Making a steak or making a pizza is 1/10 or 1/1000th of what you actually do as a business owner. And I think what it really comes down to is identifying what you're good at and where you're going to add value to that business, but also recognizing what you're not great at. Me, for example, am not great.
Yeah, tell us what are you horrible at?
I am horrible.
You're a
at
horrible
anything
husband.
to do
We know
with an
that,
office.
Right? Your wife is here checking on, making sure she's holding up signs over the back of his neck saying, Say this.
As we discussed
joking.
before, if your wife hasn't said you're crazy at least once in your life, you're not living, right? And Alex has there's an article from People Magazine that states that line about Katie saying that about you. So, and that's a great thing. So I would encourage people to go out and seek out business opportunities if they want to chase their dreams. But again, I think identifying those things you're not great at, which obviously I'm not great at legal items, so I do seek legal help when I need it.
What about you, Cody? What do you think?
I think that one thing that people need to learn how to do, and I think, the vast majority of small businesses, when people start them, they fail. They usually last less than a year, sometimes less than 2 years, and they're gone. They go out of business. I think the big thing that people need to do is they need to have a business plan.
Oh, no question.
Business plan. And well, what is in a business plan? Well, there's a lot of stuff in it.
Well, why do I want to have a business plan? Why?
You need to have a direction of your business, and you need to have an idea. Number one, where am I going to be?
Okay.
Where's my location? Who are my customers? What value am I bringing? Who am I trying to compete with? How am I differentiating myself from them? You have fixed costs running a business. You have costs that vary. You have to be able to know all these figures, because if you don't have this idea of how much you need in order to keep the doors open, keep the lights on.
Get your budget. So you're saying you need to narrow your own scope, and you need to have a budget about what you're going to do. So you don't try to do everything, right?
Right, and it's not just a budget though, but it's a vision for your business. Where are you going to advertise? Who are your clients going to be?
I was talking with Pat Kelly on Sunday, and he's like, "Look, I'm not good at anything." And I said, "Master of trade, or what is it?
Jack of all trades.
What is the thing?
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to have just reams of detailed information about all the different firearms that were there, and I was super interested in. And I was like, this guy, I could qualify him as an expert in firearms.
You could.
And so, so that's somebody who had said, hey, this is not an area that I know a whole lot about. But he absolutely did, but maybe he would have deferred. But I wonder, in your case, did you develop a business plan, Cody?
Yes. Yeah, it was actually months in the process of developing a plan about, number one, what do we want our business to look like down the road? 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do I want the business to look like? Work backwards, but then there's a lot of, things that have to go into, well, I need computers. Do I need to hire additional staff just to get off the ground? How much is that going to cost? There's all these things that go into the process of starting a business and getting your doors open. But for me, my biggest thing was, where do I want the business to be? Because I already kind of had a subset of clients I was bringing with me, but how do I want to grow that, and where do I want to grow, and who do I want to target for that business? Because for me, my idea of starting a financial service firm wasn't that I don't want to be the next Edward Jones of the world. I don't want to be the next Blackstone of the world. I'm not trying to grow this big thing. What I'm trying to do is have a subset of clients you can really engage with and serve a small subset of people, rather than having tons of people, hiring lots of people. And because then what happens is you end up being a manager of people. And that's not what I wanted to do in my business. I wanted to be a manager of assets.
Yeah, you're relationship manager in that sense.
Right.
So I mean, I hear you don't get a chance to hear Cody, but he will constantly be on the phone counseling people come in, talking to them about what do they want to do, what are your hopes and dreams, holding the hand, that sort of stuff. Not literally, but they want to know exactly what it is that Cody wants to do.
Man, there is a sound we don't hear in Brewster very often. I mean, there was fire sirens going by right now. I mean, they're honking the horn. It was amazing.
I know.
Just don't hear
that was not
often.
Clifford.
Hopefully they're just testing.
Your phone might start ringing.
I know, right? The red bat line.
Well, yeah, and then also continually revisiting that plan. And that's one of the things that, my wife and I, is also my business partner, we're constantly talking about, well, where are we at relative to our goals? And what do we need to kind of adjust? Because as you go, that day one when you sat down and mapped out that plan of what you want to do, things change. We had the fires last year. In my business, that impacts us. Okay, well, what do we do?
Completely changes the world.
There's always something. New legislation just came out on tip pooling, for example. Well, what do we do as a business? We didn't forecast that 2 years ago. Those kinds of things.
The Liquor Control Board, for example, they are going around and they are aggressively going in and with trying to get minors to buy so they can bust restaurant owners. How did you, specifically you in your business, how did you make sure your staff was trained for that? How do you make sure they check IDs properly? That's a legal issue that you personally could be in big trouble for.
Oh, absolutely.
How did you do that?
It's just constantly training them and
you got to
talking
constantly
them,
train them, right?
You do. You because somebody can be fooled. If somebody's really good at coming in and acting really cool and, hey, can I just get a beer? And if they can make rounds to 10 different bars,
right.
somebody's going to get caught up in that. So really, it's recognizing that.
I couldn't actually. I remember I was in Las Vegas, and we were going to a ski race. I was 18, and I walked into a place, and I sat down and I was like, I'd like to order a beer. they're like, hey kid, get out of here.
Right,
and I was like, oh dang it.
Actually, what was funny when I turned 21, you go out and you go to your restaurant, you order your first drink. I didn't even get carded.
Yep.
And Amber looks at me and she goes, "Of course you didn't get carded. Look how much gray hair you have. Crying out loud. You look like an old goat."
I have a friend. He's a special forces soldier, and he used to be an undercover DEA cop. And we would walk into bars together. And I'd be, hey, you're buying the first round. And I'd grab his wallet. And I would walk to every single person in the bar and show them his badge. You go, he's an undercover cop. Don't talk to him. Undercover cop. Don't talk to him. And people would be like, oh, yeah. And so people would be like, hey, thanks, man, thanks. And like, buy me a beer. Buy me a beer. and after probably 2 years of me doing this, he was like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm winning. I'm getting free drinks. He's like, stop it.
One of the other decisions that I think people need to think about is, this idea, 2008, 2009, access to new capital became very difficult.
Absolutely.
And became expensive. So then the idea becomes, well, do you want, when you start your business, are you going to do it solo or should you get a partner? And that decision about not only should you get a partner, but if you are going to, how do you choose the right person to go into business with?
Ooh,
because I know
right.
lots of people who have gone into business with friends, and that friendship no longer exists because business can be really difficult.
Right.
I'm sure you've heard of people that.
Well, in fact, I just engaged in a partnership and started another business, and this one, in this case, is from the ground up, starting fresh.
Right.
And it's friends, and in one case as well, family. It starts out with a very strong legal agreement among everybody. So everybody understands roles, responsibilities,
right.
and a decision-making process. And it is a challenge. And we're all, fortunately, we've all gotten along so far, and the business seems to be taking off to a good start. But it will always be a challenge, and we talk about that, and we have to recognize that.
When I counsel people who are friends come in, they want to start business together, I'll say, okay, look, let's structure our corporate documents or our LLC documents, if the case is, by this. And just guys, you ready? And buckle up. He now is having an affair with your wife. How do you want the business to be split up? And we draft the documents with that level of animosity. And if we do that, and everybody knows exactly how the business is closed, you don't have problems. It's where it's this, hey, buddy, me and you, we're going to be great friends. Woo, so awesome. That is a horrible way to live your life. So, number one, you could buy existing business. Number two, you could take up your own existing clients. But number three, make sure you have, your corporate documents in place. Do not go to LegalZoom. I got no problem with LegalZoom. I love LegalZoom. I think it's fantastic. Do not go to LegalZoom for your company documents because you do not know what happens if you die. Does that mean your other partner has to immediately buy you out? What valuation, right? All these questions. What happens if you're divorced? All that stuff.
So you actually started a business with a friend, and you guys.
Which one?
Which one that failed? It's hard to keep them all straight. But this was the one with Owen, and you guys actually had some interesting dispute resolution clauses in your business documents.
Oh, this is awesome. So Owen and I had a real estate company, and we had a dispute resolution inside. In every contract, how do you resolve disputes? So what we did was it was a shoot-off. It was a 3-gun shoot-off. and it was varying targets. We had to wear American bandanas, headbands, and it was pistols, it was shotguns, it was rifle, moving targets, and it was whoever won the most, that was the end, right?
Wins the dispute.
They won the dispute. The end, hands down. And it had to have a minimum of 30 rounds, per weapon. You had to have 3 different magazine changes. It was fantastic.
That's brilliant.
Thank you. I drafted it. And anyone who wants that, just feel free. You can contact my office.
I'm happy
to give it to you.
You might have to put that verbiage on your website as a freebie. Just here you go. If you're looking for a resolution dispute.
Yeah, a dispute among friends, and you're an American. You're not afraid.
Just go ahead and lift this and put this in your contract. Just copy and paste.
I was disappointed in the whole thing because it actually never came to pass. You guys were just too agreeable for one another. I wanted you guys guys to disagree so this would actually happen.
I know. Well, we tried to do that. We tried to, but the problem, we couldn't find enough stuff to disagree
What's
about.
the modern day version of what's the 10 paces out and we shoot each other? That's the
gunfighter deal.
It's the gunfighter deal. What are they
Alex he's been wanting to say, hey,
I'm a
if we
proponent of
don't
that.
need lawyers. If we just come back with gunfighting, we wouldn't need lawyers. You could just
Yes.
dispute
So-
resolution in the street.
What you don't know is when I decided, I spent a year in Israel trying to listen and think, what is it that I want to do? I decided I wanted to be a lawyer. And I told my parents, hey, I'm going to go to law school. And my mom goes, oh, Alex, a lawyer? She started crying, not happy tears. And my dad goes, oh, geez, they just move air. And he turned around and walked out of the room. And I was like, oh, no. So now fast forward. And now I'm like, okay, who's the answer man now, big boy? Oh, you need some help figuring that out? Oh, I'll give some air, push some air around.
Oh, I'll push my invoice across the table. You can actually pay my invoice.
Double that invoice for mom and dad.
Yeah.
So when you started, I mean, ask you, when you started your business, if you could go back and do it over again, what's one thing that you would change?
Oh, boy. I don't know if I'd change anything. I'll tell you why. Because there were mistakes.
Yeah.
But we learn
You
more
sound
from our
like-
mistakes
you
than our
sound like a
successes.
politician.
No, seriously.
There were
Because I'm trying to
mistakes.
think of
Mistakes were made.
There's things we could have done better during the transitions. I could have, spent more time in that business, learning every nuance of it. But some of that forced me to really dive in and learn every bit about my business. And you learn more from your mistakes and your successes, as long as they don't cost you the business. I think it was a great transition. I think our customers would tell you that. We continue to enjoy a lot of great local support in our business, as well as from outsiders. But I think those mistakes, if you will, nothing drastic, are things that you learn from, and that's what makes you better as a business person. And if you don't get them, then you're going to go, happy-go-lucky down the road, and then you're going to stumble over big mistakes if you don't make the little ones along the way. So.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting process because you can't replace experience.
You can't.
So there's things and mistakes you're going to make that you're going to learn from that they're going to be valuable for a long time, and especially valuable. I mean, when you can pass those ideas on to your kids, if you decide down the road that maybe you want your kids to come and take over your business, which is another whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah, but I think back to an earlier point I was making is identifying what you don't do well at. Don't assume just because you took a couple of finance courses in college that you know how to do bookkeeping for a large business, or how to do your taxes, or all of that stuff, or that you know how to write offer letters to make sure that you've covered all your legal obligations in your employee handbook. I mean, all these, there's a lot of stuff where all these, just an example of the gentleman sitting with me, but seeking out consultation from those who are experts in those things that you're not an expert at.
Oh, and speaking of that, if any of you do this or listening, if you hire a lawyer to write a letter for you and then you send it yourself to another person who's represented by a lawyer, they hate you. The lawyer hates you. So here's an example. So you hire a lawyer to ghost write a letter for you, and you pass it off as though it's from you. I know you didn't write that. I know you can't write like that. I know that only a lawyer knows how to write a certain way with the fonts, with two spacings between each period.
We know.
Right?
We've actually
Now
had
we know
this-
why mom
To
was
not
crying.
italicize the period, right? Stuff that only lawyers would know. And they hate it. And what they're going to do is they're going to make your life harder. So if you're going to hire a lawyer secretly to draft your little letter, just write it yourself.
We've actually had this conversation where he called me into his office one day and he goes, let me ask you a question. When you underline something when you're writing and you put a period at the end of it, he goes, do you underline the period or you leave it not underlined? I said, well, you don't underline the period. He goes, I thought only lawyers knew that. You shouldn't do that. I know.
That's 8 years of college, baby, right there. You got it.
Exactly right.
And half
exactly
the people
right.
are going like, wait,
You don't learn
what
that
did they
overnight.
underline the period? I know, exactly right.
Yeah.
There's a sheepskin on the wall over there that shows that he knows where to put that underline.
Yeah. So, I think the final issue in my mind when you're thinking about starting a business is who are you going to be as you're a year in? So think about when you guys started your businesses, and I know for myself when I started, how are you going to deal with your home life? That's crazy. I mean, right? I'd be up 5 o'clock in the office at 5:30, wouldn't go home till 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Right? I mean, how did you guys decide to do a work-life balance so you don't burn your families out?
Well, I think in the beginning, the balance probably falls towards the business in the beginning because there's just so much stuff to be done, and especially if you're starting like a solo business like you did or like I did. There's no one else to do the work for. I mean, you just have to do it. So I think a lot in the beginning, the level of work falls towards the business. But in the end, as you move further down the road and you become more efficient at managing the business and managing employees, then you balance your time much more efficiently.
Yeah, I think Cody's spot on. I mean, it's going to be front end loaded with lots of work, but I think that the motivation to spend the time with the family is what pushes you to become better at what you're doing and making better decisions, training people to do things that you think you are the only one who can do it. Right. You're not the only one who because if you are and you're in a small business, you got 2, 3, 4, 15 employees, whatever the number is. Yeah. If you think you're the only one that can do something, you're in big trouble because of what happens when the proverbial bus run over, or you break your leg and you just can't get to work. I mean, it's something simple. It doesn't have to be catastrophic that can take you out of that game. And so, that should be that life balance should propel you to make the time for yourself. Well,
the concept I think about is buy-in. You got to have a buy-in with your family. They've got to be all in. And one thing that is, it's not something that I use, but some of the healthcare stuff where it's not multi-level marketing, but a lot of people who do healthcare. They sell healthcare products. I notice that they have a lot of buy-in with their spouse. Their spouses are together in that deal. And so when you're going into a business, going to start your own business, make sure you have a unity of a mind, right? That Absolutely. You are together on the same page, kids, spouse, whatever it is. Otherwise, you will be a failure or you'll be divorced, which is, whatever, but you should at least think about that coming in. Like in law school, for example, 75% of people who are married who go into law school end up getting divorced. Wow. 75%. Because there wasn't buy-in. They didn't get, this is a 7-day-a-week schooling? What? Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I was never going to go into the investment business. I was going to be a doctor. That's what I always wanted to do. I wanted to do that from the time I was a little kid. When I was in high school, I did job shadows with surgeons. I got to watch all these surgeries. I was like, that's what I want to do. Went to college. That was the plan. And I was working in a fly shop in downtown Seattle through my way through college. Doctor comes in. He's a resident at UW. He has a ring on his finger. Ask him. Start having a conversation with him. I said, how is it being married doing what you're doing? He looked me straight in the eye and he said, my marriage is terrible. I'm never home. I work over 100 hours a week. And he goes, I don't know if I'll ever be able to have kids.
Whoa.
Right. I was like, that was
Thanks
just
for
like
the honesty.
roundhouse punch.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. And so it was actually shortly after that, the guy that I work for in Bellevue, he pulled me aside. He's like, I don't think you should actually go to med school. I think you should go and do this. I actually followed his advice. Really glad that I did. But it takes someone being really brutally honest about what are some of these sacrifices that you have to take with a given career path.
Oh, for sure.
And some of them you can't know it unless you talk to someone who's actually been through it. Let me ask you a question though. Good time to start a business now or not?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think obviously the economy's continuing to do fairly well. Mm-hmm. I think there's certainly in North Central Washington here, it's continuing to grow year after year. There's sort of pockets of need, and I think people, if you seek them out, you'll find them in this area. With the tourism and the wine industry continuing to grow, there's lots of opportunities. And by the way, more restaurants, competition makes all of us better.
It does.
So, I look for, and hey, I like to eat out too. So,
Right.
I'm looking for more good places, but that makes us all better, and we're continuing to grow. So yeah, I think there's some good opportunities out there, but I would really ask around, and feel free to stop by and talk to me. I'm sure you guys as well. I would, one thing, just encourage people to talk to other business owners, because it's not all, roses. It's not all guns and roses the whole time. It's there's a lot of hard work. You're the one whose phone rings in the middle of the night when the dishwasher doesn't show up, or the whatever.
Right.
There's a million things that can go wrong in a business, and that's what the business owner has to shoulder. They're worried about whether or not someone's going to trip over that brand new zebra carpet over there and then sue you.
Right.
Yeah, I've always thought that a great class for high schools to have as just an elective would be starting a business. What do you have to do to start a business, from the planning stages to getting a business license? What insurance do you need? All of these little things that go along with starting a business that they would be invaluable to teach kids.
yeah.
If they just had a little elective class, obviously you'd have to have someone to teach it, and I don't know how the education structure works there, but I think that would be a great class to have and be really valuable. The other one that I would like is like the financial literacy part of a business. Being able to manage the finances of a business, being able to manage your own finances around a business is super important.
Well, no question. I mean, that's one of the things. I was recently at a pizza convention, believe it or not, and
They have
anyway,
pizza
can you believe
conventions?
that in Vegas? Wow. You guys should go. It's really
Wow.
cool. Anyway,
buy a beer?
You're
like, sorry, I don't need your
You need
ID.
to buy a pizza
Yeah, no,
restaurant.
you're an
too.
old guy. Here you go.
need
Give me
another
a
one of those. At any rate, they said, raise your hand if you got in the pizza business because all your friends told you you were really great at pizza. Of course, everybody raises their hands. Leave your hand up if you had at least one college-level finance or accounting class. Every hand goes down except for about 3. We're talking in Las Vegas Convention Center, a lot of people.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. But as you know, any business is driven by the numbers, and you really have to understand the financials to understand. Gee, am I paying too? Is the company charging me too much for my pizza boxes all of a sudden? Did that go up? How is that relating to my cost of goods sold, et cetera, et cetera? There's so
And it's
much
not
that
just
could
in
be,
the beginning either, because if you
all
go to
along.
expand your business, how do you know if the money you're going to invest to expand is worth it or it's not worth it? What kind of
Right.
returns can you expect from that? The decision tree gets really big.
Sure.
I think-
If you find yourself and you're actually maybe you're making a little extra money year over year, and that's an excellent point. Do I invest that in someplace else, or do I feel so proud of myself that I made this really great thing? I'm going to start another thing. I'm going to franchise it out or whatever. Well, if I'm only going to get that's going to be my ROI is whatever I was kind of getting out of this thing. Maybe I'm better off going and buying some stock in another company, or go visit you and find out what I should do.
So, I mean, the takeaway, I think, for people to listen here is that, number one, I think this is a great time to be starting businesses. Yeah. This is a great opportunity area. And if you're thinking about it, we talked through some steps. You could buy an existing business. So find somebody who wants to retire. You could take your existing skill set and your existing, customers you're working for now or clients, whatever the case may be. You could start your new business, right? You could then come and you can talk to experts. Make sure you choose the right person if you're going to partner with them or whoever it may be. And you also don't be afraid to go out on your own. You have to have faith in that. But ultimately, right, you got to make sure you get the buy-in from the family. You got to make sure you have buy-in. Everybody's on the same page. And we say, go for it, because we want to see more and more success here. That's why we moved here. I know, Cody, that's why you moved here.
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
And I'm trying to find places where my kids can businesses for my kids to own, so my kids can run stuff. And this is the time. This is the place.
Oh yeah, phenomenal place to live. Great place to have a business.
Yeah.
And great customer base. So
I think Warren Buffett was right. He said kids that are being born in America today have won the lottery. Because he goes, this is the land of opportunity. It has been for a long time, and it will continue to be, because this is the land of innovation. This is the land where businesses are grown and developed. And he said that's why kids have just won the lottery if you're being born in America today.
There you go. Go out and play it. Play the business, that is. This
right.
is Legal Tender. Thanks for joining us. You can watch us again online at ltmedia.tv. That's Legal Tender, so ltmedia.tv.
See ya.